Hi everyone, thanks for joining in for this Student Awards application tutorial. Today we'll be walking through the Student Awards specific information and then quickly walking through how to fill out the application itself. My name is Madeline Schultz. I'm one of the Alumni Relations Officers at SAIT here in the Alumni and Development Department. And I have the pleasure of supporting students and grads as they continue on their journey as alumni of SAIT. Student Awards is a great opportunity for students to receive funding through the donations of alumni and donors who choose to give back to SAIT. So what I'm going to do is just share my screen and let's get started here and walk through this process. So the first thing that you want to do when you're filling out a student awards application is you want to visit your MySAIT account. So you'll log into your MySAIT account. Along the top, you're going to click My Student. Under My Student, you'll find all of your academic information, your information on schedules and finance information. If you scroll down under finance information, you will find two links under scholarships and awards. The first one is it takes you to the Student Awards webpage where you can find all additional information. And the second link will take you to the actual application itself. So let's take a quick look at the Student Awards webpage. So on this webpage, there's all sorts of information, how to apply, the student awards guides. These are updated in advance of every academic year. So you'll find a new one each academic year. You'll also find information about the entrance award guides and frequently asked questions. When you click on this image, what it will do is download a PDF of the student award guide. There's lots of information in there. Very helpful, and it also lists each of the awards and the criteria. So what I highly recommend doing is clicking on this image, downloading the PDF, and taking a look through all the general awards, taking a look through all the school-specific awards, and then within the school, the program-specific awards, and taking a look at the criteria and deadline for each of those and making note of those prior to starting your application, just so you're aware of what you're eligible for based on your program, based on your school, and any criteria listed. All right, so once you've taken a look at that student award guide, then you're going to want to log in back to your student awards or your My Student account, and then click on Student Awards and Financial Aid. All right, so when you click on that, you will see three links: Apply for Student Awards, View My Applications, View My Application Status. So if you've never filled out a student award application before, you're going to click on the first link. If you have and you're coming back to make edits or changes prior to a deadline date, you'll click View My Applications. And then once you've submitted everything and you're waiting for information, you can hit View My Application Status to make sure that it is submitted. All right. So because I've already started mine, when I click that, it doesn't work. So I need to go View My Applications. So I want to fill out the full year general application. This will look different depending on if you are an apprentice or a general student or an international student. So some of these look a bit different, and that will be very specific to you based on your MySAIT account and based on the system knowing what programs you are in. This one, because it's the staff account, it just shows everything. So I'm going to hit View and Modify Section. So here it tells me that the deadline date is June 30th, 2021. So that's the deadline date for the entirety of the year. And then the new application and student awards guide will come out at the beginning of the academic year, which is September. And again, you'll have the full year for the application deadline. However, there are student award deadlines throughout the year. So just keep that in mind. And again, that's why I recommend taking a look at that student awards guide that you can find on the SAIT.ca website. All right, so View and Modify Sections. All right, there are 4 different sections to the student awards application. The first one is simply summary information. Here there is an explanation of what student awards are. It outlines how we collect information, and there's a privacy declaration. So here there's a FOIP statement that's listed. And the reason that we asked you to click this section is complete, and we include that, is that the funding that is for student awards is provided by alumni and donors that give back. And so what you're doing by clicking off on this FOIP statement is saying that you allow us to share your information with the donor that has provided the funding for the award that you are receiving. So I'm going to hit Mark this section complete, and I'm going to click Continue. That will take me to the next section of the application, which is general questions and background information. So the first question is your SIN or ITN number. If you are an international student and do not yet have your ITN number, you can put 9 zeros and then we will connect with you after. The reason we have to include a social insurance or international tax number is because this is for Canada Revenue Agency reporting purposes. Then there's some very general questions. Do you live at home with your parents? Are you a resident of Alberta? How long have you lived in Alberta? Where did you live prior to attending SAIT? What you'll notice is there's these little sort of comment little boxes, and what it does is that provides you further clarification on what we're asking, right? So if you've lived in Alberta for your entire life, for example, enter your birth year, right? So make sure that you take a look at what these boxes are telling you for extra information, provide some context for what we're asking for with that question. Then we ask, are you a student from outside Calgary or the surrounding area? What is your citizenship? And then question 8 is right here. It just says right here. Please provide any additional information you feel comfortable sharing that will tell us about you and your circumstances. And so what's really helpful to include here is some of the information that cannot be easily conveyed through yes or no questions, or some of the questions we asked earlier. You know, this allows you to say why you're coming to SAIT, what you plan on doing with your education from SAIT, how you've been impacted, any personal circumstances that impact your financial situation that you think the award adjudicator should be aware of. So it really, this is your opportunity to tell your story, why you're coming to SAIT, and what a financial award, you know, an award or a bursary would mean to you throughout your time here. Then we include a section for personal references. So we ask for the name, phone number, and email of 2 personal references. We recommend that these be employers, instructors, community leaders, somebody that can provide a impartial reference that is not a close friend or family member. Next is a question about extracurricular activities. So tell us about an extracurricular activity you have participated in the last 5 years. Include the organizations, what kind of activity, demonstrated leadership qualities, and how this may relate to your profession or career path. And then you're going to tell us your frequency, duration, and recency. Again, as I said earlier here, it says that you've participated in the last 5 years. We understand that, first of all, you know, as a student, it's very busy, so you may have participated in extracurricular in the past and you do not at this time. We want to know about anything that you've been a part of in the last few years, whether or not you're involved in it now or you have been in the past. It certainly speaks to your character and your participation in extracurriculars and your leadership qualities. So please make sure that you include anything in the last few years. Next is volunteer experience and community involvement. Very similar to the one above. The way that when people ask, well, what's the difference between the two? The way that I delineate it is, you know, if you're involved in extracurricular, it's something that you're doing for your enjoyment and you get something, you know, out of, right? So if you participate in a sport group and then the difference between volunteer experience and community involvement might be your place of worship or your community association, somewhere that you give back and spend your time to improve a situation or an organization. And so very similar, tell us about those opportunities in the last 5 years, and then list the frequency, duration, and recency. What I recommend for these written sections of the application is to actually write them out in Microsoft Word and then copy and paste. It doesn't happen often, but sometimes you might get kicked out or your internet might go out, and I highly recommend having this information written down somewhere else and then copy and pasting it so that you don't lose it if something like that happens. Then you're going to want to mark this section complete. I haven't completed it, so I'm not going to do that, and then hit continue. It'll take you to the next section. So this is the one part of the application that will look very different on my screen than it will to every student that logs into their MySAIT account. So under credit awards, what will show up here is all of the awards that you are eligible for that we need more information from. So information for in order to adjudicate them. So a lot of awards, the information that's already in MySAIT, so your grades, your semester, all of those sorts of things are already taken into account. So if there's an award that's all we need to know, it won't show up here. So that can be a bit startling to some people. What will show up here or all of the awards that we need more information for. So the information that's in my SAIT isn't enough. We need a bit more. And so again, because of your semester or your program, different awards will show up for different people. There's nothing listed on mine. Again, I'm on a staff account. But what you can do is, once you see all of the awards, take a look at the other information that is required of you and fill that out. It's often a short essay or just providing quick information on something. Once you've done that and gone through each of the awards, you'll click Mark this section complete and continue. That takes us to the last section of the application, and this is the budget calculator. So there's different questions dependent on your personal circumstance. So single with no children, single with children, married or common law with no children, married and common law with children. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill out the married and common law with children application. And the reason for that is that's the version that has the most questions. Every other version will have fewer questions. So I will explain that as I go. So let's go through that and hit continue. So here under the first part of the application is your monthly income. So you're going to list your monthly income from full or part-time work. Please note this does not include student loans. We ask you to provide alimony income monthly, any contributions from your parents. And again, this is all in monthly. Total savings, the amount that you're receiving from scholarships and bursaries, the amount you're receiving from a government awarded scholarships this year, and any other sources of income. So that gives us a good idea of your financial need. These are the questions that would only be specific if you had children or are married. They won't show up if you click the single no children version of the application. So you'd include your partner and spouse net income, and then under dependent information around the child tax benefit and child support. The next section is living expenses. So, monthly rent, food, transportation, vehicle payment, etc. So you're just going to fill out these as accurately as you can. And then again, this last question is very specific to the version of the application, only if you've clicked off that you have children. So we ask that you provide as accurate information as possible in these areas so that we can get a really good idea of the financial circumstance. So when an award lists, financial need is high on that criteria, we're able to distribute that appropriately. So once you've filled this out, you're going to hit mark this section complete and hit continue. What that's going to do is it's going to take you back to the main student application page. What you'll notice is there is not a check mark beside this one. I did not finish the general questions and background information, but I can leave the application and come back. So that's the one thing I want everybody to be aware of, is that you can leave and come back. What you want to be aware of is the deadlines for certain awards. So keep that in mind, have certain deadlines marked off in your calendar, because you do have the opportunity to come in, make edits and then resubmit your application in advance of deadline dates. So I can leave this, and all the other information that I filled out will stay, and I can continue to come in and make edits. So that is sort of the basics of the application form. If you have any further questions, you can reach us at scholarships@sait.ca. So again, that was listed on that SAIT.ca webpage under student awards, but we can be reached at scholarships@sait.ca, and our team is more than happy to help you with any questions that you have around your student awards application. And with that, have a great day. Thanks so much for tuning in. Take care.